Everything's going to be different just in the next 4 years. Spirit shows me that we're going to see cures for diseases. And I spoke about this. 2028 keeps coming to mind. And 2028 feels like a really intense period of time where we're in a big shift. But now Spirit also makes me feel like we shouldn't be afraid of this shift. We should actually embrace this shift, which Iran's going to play a part in too, of course, all three. They can't come to terms. So there's going to be a humanitarian crisis. What we saw in Gaza, Spirit reminds me, what we saw in Gaza with, people being starved out, not being able to access food. We're going to see that again. There's big humanitarian crises that are coming. People are going to rise up because that's the only way humanity is going to survive. And in the coming years, more and more events are going to take place, especially when it comes. So separate events. I even see waves that are hitting Alaska and the coast of Alaska. And I got this whole sudden feeling at the same time that there would be a hostage situation. And I had this terrible feeling that this drone attack that takes place may actually happen in a combination of the United States and then somewhere in Iran's planning something big, huge, while at the same time deep state cabal is also planning something huge. Spiritman JT here. I gotta hold this mic up nice and close so you can hear me because there's this gorgeous waterfall behind me, as you can see there. Beautiful. That is called the Fairy Falls. Yep, the fairy, like fairies. And I would not doubt the fairies live in these beautiful rocks right here, covered in moss. And I figured I'd show you this spot as I sit down and give you a little bit of information and share some of the visions that I've had with you about future upcoming events. So let me get to a spot. It's very rocky where I'm at. Very cool. But I hope you like that waterfall behind me. That's pretty awesome. See the there's chicks back there doing some kind of woo-woo ceremony. I laugh because I'd be doing woo-woo ceremonies too. So I'm going to find myself a spot, but isn't that a cool view right there? Beautiful, right? Let me go settle down here and we'll chat. All right, I found myself a nice little spot here. You can see the falls behind me, the woo-woo ceremony. I'll put my head over a little bit to block it. A couple things. Today I was laying on a beach. What was the name of that beach? Siskiyou. Also at Mount Shasta. And again, that's Fairy Falls behind me. There's a couple things I had to go back in my head. I was laying on the beach. That's why I'm all red and tan and burnt, actually. First thing that I got when I was laying on the beach, and it was very random. And once something random comes, I usually get a flow of information. And the random thing that came was seeing a wildfire unlike anything that we've ever seen before. And now when I connected and I got this information, I literally was laying on the ground, laying on my stomach actually, connecting to the earth. And that was my intention, was to connect to the earth. And that was the first thing I got. And the first random thing was seeing this wildfire that felt to me unlike anything. And this is just, again, an intuitive guess. The intuitive guess would be that this would be somewhere in Canada or northern parts, maybe even something that moves into Alaska. It also felt like Mother Earth more than feeling like something nefarious. The other thing I was reminded about today, besides the fact that we need to honor the earth and go back to the way of honoring and being kind to the earth and kind to ourselves, because we neglect ourselves very often. We forget. We get so wrapped up and caught up in the cycle of life and work and the same thing over and over that we never take time to breathe, take time to connect with nature, take time for ourselves, to get to know ourselves, to love ourselves a little more. That was a reminder from Spirit, and also a reminder to get back to the old ways of gardening, preparing our own foods, because we're going to be seeing a lot of controversy in the near future revolved around food and eating out, specifically eating out. How people are, and this is really literally part of the deep state, of course, but it's also a universal thing, getting us back and pushing us back and forcing us to do things the old ways, the healthy ways, especially here in America, where the food is so friggin' toxic that it's affecting the health of Americans unlike any other country. These are the things that are coming out that Spirit reminded me of today. Connecting and beginning to connect our foods to local farms, getting even our meats from local farms, and that's the push we're getting to. And I saw this probably decades ago, where Spirit said, in the future humanity would be forced to come together in community, to work together and farming and so forth. And we could see that we're heading in that direction. And there are communities and farming communities that are starting to sprout, which is a wonderful thing. So always look to buy your goods instead of a grocery store. Try to find a farmer's market. Order online from a local farm, or any farm, even if it's a few states away or a little distance. It's worth it. I order all my meat and stuff from farms. But that was a reminder from Spirit, also mainly because we're going to be seeing soon, especially in other countries, going even to the Middle East, because I feel like Middle East is in for a big crisis, a humanitarian crisis. And that's going to be caused by the United States mainly, Israel too, and the conflict in Iran. Which Iran's going to play a part in too, of course, all three. They can't come to terms. So there's going to be a humanitarian crisis. What we saw in Gaza, Spirit reminds me, what we saw in Gaza with people being starved out, not being able to access food. We're going to see that again. There's big humanitarian crises that are coming. And again, these humanitarian crises is a part of the wake-up call. The wake-up call for humanity, where humanity gets to this point of being sick and tired of being sick and tired and starts to do something about it. I look forward to those days. And I'd say we're pushing that more towards when we hit towards 2028 through 2030, 2031. Everything's going to be different just in the next 4 years. We're in this major, intense 4-year cycle. Again, forcing us back to the old ways, forcing us to come together, to help one another, to feed the starving people. Spirit shows me a vision, a reminder. I remember the days of Ethiopia back in the 80s and Live Aid and this whole humanitarian crisis that was happening in Ethiopia. I get something like that happening. So I don't know if that's something separate, that Spirit's taking me to some part of Africa where this occurs, or if I'm seeing this vision now because it has something to do with Ethiopia specifically. Then it reminds me of things like Live Aid and the concerts and people pulling together to raise money to help. But this will be even bigger. Bigger crisis, bigger coming together of the people. 2028 keeps coming to mind, and 2028 feels like a really intense period of time where we will likely be seeing these things with famine striking across different parts of the globe. We already know that there's what they have done to the farms, the farmers, different countries, especially over there in Europe, ripping apart the farmers, making them go bankrupt. The list goes on and on. Now the problems with fertilizer. This is going to have a bigger effect on the economy and on the world than COVID did. And that says a lot right there. Because COVID put a job on things, changed everything. We're in a big shift. But now Spirit also makes me feel like we shouldn't be afraid of this shift. We should actually embrace this shift. We can always look at the tragic side of things, but we should always know that there should be balance between the two. Again, like coming out to a wonderful spot like this and connecting to the earth. And doing so with gratitude. The more gratitude and love that you put into the earth, the more the earth is going to give to you and the universe is going to give to your life. But we also have to be aware of the craziness that's happening all over the globe. In the past, I talked about the falling of politicians and senators and leaders, and we just started to see that now in the United States with sudden death of Lindsey Graham. Next will be Mitch McConnell. Who will be after that? And it's, they say it comes in threes. I feel like we're going to be seeing them drop like flies soon. And again, on a positive note, trying to make it on a positive note anyway, Spirit says it's important that we start preparing for scenarios where there may be certain things that we love, like certain products, for example, that we should stock up on. Mainly around food and edible food. No, not your favorite shampoo, although, you might want to stock up on your favorite shampoo too. But more food. This is a food thing. Especially in other countries. Europe, I feel, is about to get hit really, really hard. I get this sudden vision of seeing a large explosion, a big missile, a ballistic missile, maybe armed with something a little extra heavy, going into an unexpected country. And I feel that it's Russia that's shooting off this missile. And I believe I may be somewhere near the borders, perhaps connected between Poland and Belarus, mainly Poland. And I see problems that arise around the borders of Germany. Likely the borders of Germany near wherever this missile hits. But I keep seeing this vision. Putin's going to escalate things. Because he's not well. This is what Spirit shows me in the earth. The earth, the universe, is literally sickening the leaders. What do you mean by that? Sickening the leaders, mentally and physically. That's the only way to get out the darkness, is to flood it with light, which in turn brings sickness. Makes them a little crazy in the head too. So Putin isn't well, and that'll make him do moves that aren't really smart. Trump obviously isn't well. He's about to make some big moves that aren't going to go well. I don't know why all of a sudden I keep getting visions of Joe Biden. The walking zombie. I think they killed him a long time ago and there's just a clone out there, honestly. But why Joe Biden? I would imagine we're going to be hearing something about Joe Biden in the near future. I couldn't imagine what. I just keep seeing, a picture of him. Are they still doing their ritual? The oil crisis. Spirit takes me to the oil crisis. This oil crisis is much bigger than it appears to be at this point in time. And that's likely going to be the big indentation into the economy that really throws us out of whack completely with economics. And a fall within the stock markets, especially when we get into the fall months. October, November. Something big's happening around the stock markets in November. It doesn't feel like it's positive, but of course at the same time it feels like there'll be a lot of insider trading around that time period to keep an eye out for that. And then as I see the insider trading, I keep seeing this vision of somebody being arrested, multiple people being arrested for insider trading. Except then I think of Martha Stewart. So if I think of Martha Stewart, I feel like these people that are being arrested is just guinea pigs like Martha Stewart was. Come on. Martha Stewart, 40 grand, you went to jail. So I feel like they're making an example. And I feel like there's at least 3 arrests happening around that. One has to do with a celebrity or a television celebrity or somebody like that. Insider trading. Also gambling. Some of you will remember the whole Pete Rose. See, I'm from Philadelphia, so of course Pete Rose. I remember watching Pete Rose swing at the bat and catch the ball when I was a kid. Remember, they banned him even from the Baseball Hall of Fame because of gambling. He comes to mind, but it's not because of Pete Rose. I mean, maybe something will come up. Maybe all of a sudden we'll hear Pete Rose passed away or something. But I think that I'm seeing this because we're going to see similarities around somebody within baseball or within sports that are gambling. There's a lot of corruption around sports. All of them. FIFA, the NFL. And I feel like we're going to be seeing whistleblowers coming out revolved around that. I keep seeing this vision, this odd vision, where I feel like I'm in a city, like New York City, and I just see all these firefighters, police, just all over the streets. It reminds me of what happened on September 11th with all the fire engines and all the rescue and first alert people, all being there, blocking off the roads and such. Excuse me. Keep getting a vision of that. So, you have that parasite thing that's happening with fruit, and I don't know if this is related, but I keep seeing that Spirit keeps showing there's going to be a lot of recalls around food coming up, especially foods like fruits, vegetables. Bananas seems to be a big one. So I don't know what's happening around bananas, but I feel like something around bananas. I don't eat bananas because they're genetically modified. I like bananas, but I don't eat them. So be aware of your foods. Be aware of your foods. There's something coming up around pork, too. And I think it may be specifically around Hatfield. And if you know, in the United States, Hatfield was the biggest pork producer, which was bought out by China. So I see something coming up around pork, and I think it's going to be specifically Hatfield. I don't know if this is recalls around that food or if it happens to be some other controversy revolved around it. But yeah, something like that. The energy here is pretty awesome. I must say I like it. What else, Mama Earth, can you share with us today? Spirit shows me that we're going to see cures for diseases. And I spoke about this somewhere on my journey out in the wilderness recently about wildflowers. I remember Spirit talking about that and how they don't do scientific research around these things because, there's healing qualities that they can't patent. But as I connect with the earth and connect with the trees here, I get this whole sense that the trees have magical healing, which we should know that already. The roots of some trees, the leaves of other trees, but healing that we're not aware of yet. We might know a little bit about some healing modalities around nature and plants and trees, but nothing as like we're going to see in the coming years, in the coming decade. More coming out of the forest, all levels, all elevations, including, of course, things coming out of the Amazon. They're done. They left. Isn't that a beautiful view back there? I think I'm going to have to leave soon, too, because the sun's down, and I probably have to head back. It's a long hike back. But we'll pick up at some other point. I feel like there's something else I was seeing today that I forgot to share. Stock up on food, things that you need. Not even just because of the fact of shortages in the future, especially in Europe, but because of prices. The more you stock up now, the less it's going to cost you in the future. especially with oil, because oil is a big thing. I started to go into that, and my ADHD took me somewhere else. Oil prices, barrel 150, it's going to go up and up. Major oil crisis and power outages happening in Russia. Attacks on the grids in places like Iran. Yeah, Trump's going to order that hit on their grid. This is going to cause the humanitarian crisis in Iran, surrounding areas. And I told you another country was going to get involved, but which they are, because Iran's now bombing other countries, neighboring countries. But I see another country getting involved and taking Iran's side, backing them up on the stage, like totally backing them up. Maybe Afghanistan, not sure. But we have to watch closely, because it may appear that Israel and the United States are crazy, but Iran and who's running things is crazier, because they'll dump out diseases on people if they could, according to the spirits. Excuse me. So oil, big oil. And I had those visions years ago of lines at the gas pumps. That's happening in Russia. It was happening in other countries, and it's going to happen again. I think United States, we're going to experience a lot of high prices, but not necessarily lines at gas pumps. And if there are lines at gas pumps, it's because it's cheap gas. Like, someone's having a sale, everybody wants to hurry up and get that gas at that price. That would be it. And remember, once the oil goes up, everything else starts to climb in price again. I see some kind of controversy coming up around Amazon. A lot of controversy. First, I see controversy coming up around Amazon and their employees, perhaps even a walkout of certain factories or certain workplaces of Amazon. I see major lawsuits being filed against Amazon. And some of this has to do with their data center, too. Their data centers. And then also, there's going to be a big outage of Amazon's data centers, which actually run a lot of the medical systems. If you go to the hospital and all, a lot of those systems run on Amazon data centers. Servers. That's the word, actually, not data centers, but servers, which are in data centers. So they're going to have a lot of problem with their servers. And the spirits say, stop right there. It's time to hike back. So that's what I'm going to do. Stop right there and hike back. I'll talk to you in the future. Hey, tribe. So I am currently in Fay Canyon. Wrong. Fern Canyon. Right near the redwoods. And these are redwoods. Check them out. Awesome, right? So I was driving yesterday, and I received all this information. I kept hearing this song in my head over and over again. You all remember that song a few years back. I couldn't find it because I have no signal out here in the middle of the forest. It goes, and we rise up. You know the song I'm talking about? I'll have to find it and put a little fraction in here, because it's probably copyrighted, I'm sure. But I kept hearing that song, Rise Up. And then I got this whole overwhelming feeling that humanity needs to do exactly that. And is going to do exactly that. All the horrors that we see happening in the world right now, all the craziness, all the conflicts, the toxicities of our foods, the data centers especially. That was a big download of information Spirit gave me. These trees are just humongous. My God. The data centers are what's really gonna be doing people in. Because even if you ask AI, a better way of doing data centers, it wouldn't do it the way that they're doing it right now. That should tell us something. People are gonna rise up when the waters start to go dry, or the waters become toxic and undrinkable. If you go back to, I forget what year it was, 2017, when the natives were fighting over the pipeline and the Black Snake Prophecy. There's a video I did called The Black Snake Prophecy. It's actually my most popular video. It's got over 500,000 views, I believe. That prophecy was fulfilled in 2017 with the Oh, what's the name of it? I can't even think of it. Drawing a blank to the reservation. But regardless, that prophecy came into fruition. And now we're 9 years later, and we're seeing the concerns revolved around water. People are going to rise up against data centers. They're rising up against the flock cameras, which means things are going to start happening in the future, where there's going to be attacks on data centers. People are going to take to the streets, not by the thousands, but by the millions. Like the 10 times the size of the anti-war protests during the Vietnam War. People are going to rise up because that's the only way humanity is going to survive. And in the coming years, more and more events are going to take place, especially when it comes to nature and to the forests, earthquakes, floods, events that are all really put into place to awaken humanity, to take us to the next step, where we step into our power together, come together in community. Right now, there's the big division. We see the big division and the big divide getting even bigger. It almost looks impossible that people will come together. But as Spirit told me decades ago, humanity will be forced to come together one way or another, to take back our power, to take back our water. We come to this earth, the free earth, but nothing's free. Nothing. They even want to tax the air you breathe. The water, Nostradamus said, would become worth its weight in gold. If you go buy a little bottle of water, I did at the gas station, because it's the only choice I had, and I don't ever buy water. But it's the only choice I had. I'm traveling. That bottle of water was $1. It actually takes, 7.5 of those bottles to make a gallon. That's $7.50 a gallon for water. Water's already become worth its weight in gold. So that song again kept playing in my mind over and over again. Rise up, rise up. And when we rise up, you know that song. She's got a great voice when she sings it. That's coming. It's coming soon. Especially, we're slowly leaping into it, says the Spirit, slowly going into it. But soon we're going to go deeply, deeply into it. Especially by the time we hit 2028. There's going to be new concerns over the data centers, but also you're going to notice people stepping up and stepping into their power and resisting these being placed in their neighborhoods. See, right now, your councilmen, your council people, they're all being paid off to vote for these data centers. Why you all get screwed in the long run, because now they got money to go wherever they want to go. They can escape your town. Well, people are catching on to this. And the spirits say corruption, arrests, they're not going to get away with this anymore. I'm going to take you down here for a moment. So that's what's coming, according to the spirits. Again, I'm heading towards the redwoods, kind of in the redwoods, but I'm not in the Redwood National Forest. Data centers are bad. Bad, bad, bad. Especially when we see fires. I see fires revolved around data centers, and some of these feel like they're just catching fire, probably from the heat overload, while others are simply being burnt to the ground by locals. Look at the size of that tree. So that was the message I got when I was driving. Rise up, take our food back, take our power back, take everything back. It's really interesting times that we're in. This is why it's all the more important to get out and connect with nature. This trail is just awesome. But people were coming, so I wanted to share that message. So now I'm at the Redwoods National Park, and I am on a trail called the Carl Knapp Trail. And I got some information when I was on the beach today on the coast, the Pacific coast. But I just wanted to share. Look at this. This is a tree, literally, with trees growing out of it. A dead tree, but it's massive. Look at the size of it. It's just massive. These trees are amazing. Much taller than the sequoias that we saw when I did my video from the sequoia, but look at the size of these trees. So I pulled over twice. First I went along the coast, along the 101, which is all national forest and state park, but you don't have to pay to get in. I thought that was interesting. And I was walking on the beach at one of the visitor centers, actually. I went out onto the beach and had this weird, feeling connecting to earthquake energy. And I'm like, this place has had to be hit by big tsunamis in the past, was my thought. And then I thought, yeah, they're going to get hit with some tsunamis in the future, the very near future. And then I come up from the walk, and there's a big, they have the little park signs everywhere that tell you about stuff. There's a big park sign that says tsunamis and what to do in case of a tsunami and earthquake. I don't believe in coincidences, friends. I know you don't either. So far today, I hiked 3 miles on the first trail, which was the Fern Trail. I did a little recording there earlier, I believe. And again, now we're in the redwoods, deep in the redwoods. Pretty cool. I'll tell you, when you walk in the forest and spend your days like I have, weeks in the forest and in nature, totally shifts your vibration in amazing ways. Also, when you look at gigantic, massive trees and the things that I've seen in my journey, you realize that we humans are just a little tiny speck on this planet. A very little tiny speck. Especially in comparison to these giant friggin' trees. I mean, look, probably don't look as good in the video as it does. Well, hey, we'll come up to one. So, my feeling, and then I noticed today, I think today's like the 15th or 16th? 17th maybe? Lost track of my days. Tomorrow I'm off to San Francisco, which is a long drive. Here's one. I saw that there was an earthquake today in Mexico, a place that I've warned in the past. Look at that tree. I don't have my selfie stick. I'm holding my freaking phone because I wasn't going to record, but that came. Here's another down tree that stuff's growing out of. It's just so amazing to me. Look at that. Nature is just amazing. Look how beautiful that is. I feel like I'm in the jungle. You're in the jungle, baby. You're gonna die. But you're not. We will live and survive. So yeah, big tsunamis are coming. Big ones. That whole feeling on the beach. And I know that I'm not that far from Eureka. Look at that one. And Eureka's gotten some earthquakes. I don't know about tsunamis, but I told you the Pacific's going to open up. I saw these visions, 3 years ago? And it's been about 3 years. And a lot of my predictions take about 3 years. So folks, on the coastlines, beware. Because I think it's going to be, I feel there's going to be two things, a couple different events. It's just going to increase the activity. And we see that with the earthquake activity already. Just as I said in my predictions at the end of July, it's going to act up again, and it is. So I would not be surprised at all to see some type of tsunami waves hit, not here in Pacific, but sometime in the near future, somewhere around the globe. More likely the South Pacific. South Pacific is what Spirit just said. Look at this tree. South Pacific, tsunamis. Philippines is going to get hit really hard. Look at that up tree roots. Philippines, let's take a seat on this cool little bench out here in the middle of the woods. Yeah, so the Philippines. What else? So it felt to me like I have two different things that are coming. One that is connected to, again, Northern California parts. Probably nearby where I'm at. Because I get bigger vibes when I'm around certain areas. Like in Philly, when I was in Philly, I got a lot of predictions revolved around Philly. A lot of weather predictions revolved around Arizona now that I'm there. So when you're in the land, you tap in a little bit easier, I suppose. So separate events. I even see waves that are hitting Alaska and the coast of Alaska. Tsunami waves. I also feel, and I've been feeling this for a while, but I'm getting it again up in this area. Big volcanic eruptions coming. And I feel like that may be within one of our national parks. Did you know Mount Shasta, where I was, is actually a volcano? That's not going to erupt, but it is technically a volcano. So, big volcanic eruption. It's not going to be Yellowstone's supervolcano, but Yellowstone's definitely starting to get friction. Parts of Yellowstone's going to be, blocked off. Keep tourists away. Keep people away. I'm not saying that's coming in the very near future, within the next month, but it's definitely coming in probably by the year end, actually. The Earth's going to let us know how much she has awakened already. All within a short window of time, says the spirits. So yeah, and we're already seeing things in a short period of time. We saw what happened in Venezuela, now Mexico. Japan's going to get hit hard soon. The Philippines is getting hit with just all kinds of stuff. I feel bad for them. Taiwan, we talked about an earthquake there that feels manipulated to me by China. So hold on tight, friends. When it comes to earthquakes, tsunami activity, it's about to ignite. That's my feeling as I'm walking through this amazing forest today. I'm going to finish this hike. I did 3 miles this morning. I'm about 2 miles into this hike, and I think about another 1.5 miles to go. So I'm off to finish this hike. Maybe spirits will give me more information as I go along. They usually do. I have arrived in San Francisco, and hopefully you can hear me good because my microphone suddenly died. There's the Golden Gate Bridge. I drove all the way from Crescent City, far north, all the way on the coast, right below Oregon, all the way here yesterday. It was a long drive, made lots of stops on the way. Remember my visions of seeing the Golden Gate Bridge sway? It doesn't look very swayable. And if you look out there, way out there, we got Alcatraz, the notorious Alcatraz prison. So I got some information, predictions, while I was driving yesterday. Some quite disturbing and some positive. So I'm going to give you a couple of those. Hopefully, again, you can hear me good as we watch the people jog and you look at the beautiful scenery of San Francisco, California. So I had this vision when I was driving of a plane being shot down, and I believe this is in Iran, in the Middle East. And I saw the pilots ejecting and got parachuting down. And I got this whole sudden feeling at the same time that there would be a hostage situation where they're going to shoot down a plane and they're going to capture the pilot. Probably multiple times, because I feel like there's 3 different hostages that are going to be taken in Iran. Let's walk down here a little bit. The other one that I got that was a little bit disturbing, even more disturbing actually, is that Iran is going to target a commercial airliner. And they're going to do this multiple times. Whether they succeed or not, that's another story. Hopefully not. Looks like we got some fishermen here. I wouldn't mind going fishing, but I have another long drive ahead of me. I'm going to go back home. It's a 12-hour drive, so I'm going to do 6 hours and then 6 hours tomorrow. What was the other thing I got to? Oh, I saw a vision of drones actually coming out of the water. Yes, either coming out of the water or over the water. And I had this terrible feeling that this drone attack that takes place may actually happen in a combination of United States and then somewhere in Europe, but I'm not sure. It feels like where there's not conflict happening. This isn't a drone attack like we see with Russia and Ukraine all the time, or even with Iran and Israel and United States. This is much different. This is an attack on America and some other European country that's probably going to get involved soon with the Iranian chaos. Take a good look at that San Francisco bridge, friends. The other thing I got, because people are probably wondering now that I'm in San Francisco about earthquakes and tsunamis, and I actually felt the earthquake energy more when I was up past Eureka, California and Northern California. I felt it there strong as far as the tsunami, and then the very far tip south of California where I'm not going. So the in-between isn't going to be as disastrous as everything else. Interesting enough. And take another look. I'm gonna go to my car. I got a long drive ahead of me. I got a couple others I'll give to you when I get back. Remember, I saw this bridge being shut down temporarily. I don't feel like the bridge is collapsing, but I feel like an earthquake or something damages the bridge and closes it for repairs. And I do feel that parts of San Francisco, or parts of the coastline anyway, will be hit with small tsunamis. Even in this little area here, I feel like it's filling up with water. But not as disastrous as it will be in other places. Joggers, so many joggers, so many fishers. All right, friends, I got more too. I'll get to them and get you to those predictions a little bit later. Some of the other visions I had when I was driving. So stay tuned, friends, stay tuned. Oh, what's up, y'all? So today is July 21st. I'm hiking down this hill. And I have arrived back to beautiful Sedona, Arizona. Of course, you can't see the red rocks because I'm down at Oak Creek in Oak Creek Canyon, which is actually closed off to the public, but I'm not the public. I happen to live here. And I had some other visions and some other things that I wanted to share with you as I climb down these steps and take you down to the creek, and my visions in my drive back home. So I was last in San Francisco. I went from San Francisco to what was that California town? Bestow. Was not impressed at all. Did not like Bestow. Bad vibes. Back to Sedona, which I arrived last night or yesterday afternoon. But I got more visions and I took notes while I was driving. I was going to record when I was driving, but I was like, yeah, that's probably not a good idea. Let me just take notes. So the first one, oh, blackberries are ready. Oh, I got to come down and get me some blackberries. Yum. I love the blackberries. Let's talk about drones first, because that was the last thing I think I was talking to you all about. And I was driving in traffic, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be in China. It's probably already being implemented on some level. But I saw this controversial thing with traffic. Oh, look at all the blackberries. I definitely got to come blackberry picking. I saw this vision of all these highways that were completely inundated, like every so many miles, with these floating drones that just sat in the sky. And I saw the drones in the vision switching back and forth. I guess when one battery starts to die, the other drone comes in. Monitoring people's speed, monitoring people's everything, really. Oh, it's a mess down here. Looks like there was a flood. That was disturbing to me. It was showing me a vision of the potential of how everything will be tracked via drones. And not even just drones, these things like the flock cameras that we all are saying flock you to, which need to be banned. Say, if the president was really for the people and I were the president, the first thing I would do is sign an executive order right now to ban all flock cameras, which go against us when it comes to our Fourth Amendment rights as citizens of the United States of America. This is going to be a big deal. Drones and monitoring of highway systems, to the point that you can't even do 1 mile an hour over the speed limit without you receiving a citation in the mail, or eventually coming right out of your digital currency bank accounts. Because the governments in many countries are going to get an attachment to your wages, to your access, not attachment, access to attaching your wages and your bank accounts. Wow, this looks totally different down here. It got really flooded and it's all muddy. I should come down here and do some gold panning. They say there's no gold here, but I disagree. Wow, I got wiped out down here. I was gone for a month, so. I mean, look at this. Wiped out by floods. Woo, that's crazy. I've never seen it like this muddy before. Oh, know what this mud's from? The fires. The soot from all the pocket fires in Sedona. What kind of bug is that crawling across the mud? So yeah, the drones, I don't know what the hell that is. It looks like a leech, doesn't it? I don't know if you can see that or not. That literally looks like a leech. I bet you it is. Who would have thought there'd be leeches in this water? Oh, that's creepy. Won't be swimming in this creek again. So drones that monitor the highway systems. But here's where it got even more interesting for me. It got more interesting because I felt like the people stepping up against this, fighting against it, and coming up with anti-drone technology that takes these drones out of the skies. So soon you're going to see movements that are going to begin to rise up. These movements that are there to stop this digital tracking system that's coming into the world. Something that they're pushing so bad. Remember, 2030 you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, according to the World Economic Forum. The spirits tell me, welcome home. Thank you, spirits. But the spirits tell me that's not going to happen. They're not going to get what they really want. Silver and gold is always going to be a commodity, along with food and along with trading. And I remember decades ago, my spirit guides telling me that in the future, we would go back to trading one another, switching goods. You grow this, I'll grow that, and so have you. We see we're coming into them times. I saw this morning, again, it's July 21st, that I saw a lot of headlines saying, oh, Israel's preparing for war. Israel's been at war for years. Come on, let's get with it. The whole Middle East has been, not just them. In my past predictions, I said Kuwait would be attacked. They just were. I think yesterday, July 20th, maybe the 19th, I might be a day or two behind. Hopefully you can hear me good with the water. But this is Oak Creek, and it's all black, I guess, from the soot of the fires. Yeah, all washed down into here. Which actually, I saw complaining about it online. It's actually really good for the environment. It's actually good for the plants and everything along the waters. It's not good for my blackberry picking, though. It's a lot of blackberries over there. There was something else. Give me a second and remember what it was. I told you that I saw, and I think one of the last places I visited in my visions, I saw drone attacks taking place. But not your typical drone attacks that we see taking place in like Ukraine, Russia, and so forth. Oh, look how muddy this is. This is crazy. I see drone attacks happening in new areas. And it looks to me like these drones are coming out of the water or coming across the water. Iran's planning something big, huge, while at the same time, deep state cabal is also planning something huge. A flag that'll fly ever so falsely. Super duper big flag. Spirit compares it to 2001 in New York City. So something big's coming, friends. We all know it. We all feel it. And actually, I only did a few videos in the month of July because I was traveling. And I found it interesting that the video that got the most pull was something big's coming. Like over 60,000 views already. Because we all feel it. We all know it. We know something's coming. Also, the shift that just happened with CERN, you know, the Hadron Collider that shut down. But there was a time shift that happened. I'll talk about that on my next Tuesday show. The other vision I had when I was driving or when I was hiking through the amazing places that I went through, look at them big footprints. Are they Bigfoot? No, it looks like, I don't know, bear maybe? We do have bear here in Sedona, at least in Oak Creek Canyon we do. They're huge footprints. You probably can't see, but all along here. That's not a dog because there's no people footprint with it. This place got wiped out completely. I saw water being stolen. I saw water being stolen, and I talked about this in the past. I talked about spirits telling us that in the future there'd be major water wars. Wow, that water is really black. It's usually crystal clear. I mean, it's spring water. It comes right out of the mountain. But again, it's from all the fires. It's good though. Remember, charcoal from the fires is like the charcoal that we take internally to clear and absorb toxins. Like whenever I see chemtrails, I take activated charcoal. I mean, charcoal is what's flowing through the waters. It's good for the environment. The forest needs a fire once in a while. Just not one set intentionally to steal property. I saw water being stolen. Ooh, fish jumping out. Water being stolen and stored underground. Now, this reminds me of a vision I had a while back where I saw a lake and the water being stolen from beneath the lake as if they drilled tunnels right up through the lake to steal and drain out the lakes. So it reminds me of that. And this water is being stored underground. And Spirit shows me there's a lot of people in on it, including our current administration here in the United States. Former administrations. Remember, the Bush family brought up one of the biggest water reserves in the world. Yeah. I forget where that was, what country that was in. I think it might have been somewhere in South America. So they're all in on it together. Remember, it's water and food. You can control the weather and control the world, but you can control the food and water and control the people. So water being stolen. Now, being that I got this in visions, that tells me that this is going to come out into the public. We're going to become aware of this. Very, very aware of this. I can't believe this is just mind-blowing how black this all is. Oh, the other vision that I had. The other vision I had was when I was driving through, I don't know where I was driving through, somewhere in California, between California and Arizona, actually. And, you know, there's so many, it reminded me of the Texas Panhandle, where there's so many fields, acres and acres of solar panels and acres of those big windmills. And it just makes the landscape look ugly. I can't stand it, actually. I had this vision of all these windmills that were just wiped out by a storm. Like some kind of hurricane or something came in and literally wiped out a lot of the solar panels and a lot of the windmills. Now, my feeling is this is probably somewhere in Texas, but it could be anywhere. I mean, I really don't know. That was my feeling. Even though I was driving through California and even Arizona when I was having this, between the two, I believe I was still in California when I had that vision. It was wild, actually. Everything was like wiped out. That would be a major hurricane, major storm. And I'm pulled to Texas only because I get this strong feeling that Texas is in for it. Texas is in for it. You got a lot going on down there in Texas. Like when it comes to storms, where'd those friggin' leeches go? I know they were leeches. I didn't know there were leeches in this water. I will never swim in this creek again. So, the waters, the drones, the hurricanes, Texas. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm in Texas. So my adventure has been amazing. 4,200 miles. I could have drove back to Pennsylvania and back here again. But most of that mileage was driving through the national parks like Yosemite here. Again, I'm back in Sedona. I'm down in Oak Creek Canyon. But I wanted to leave you with those last few visions. And I'll put this out in a video sometime within the next day or two. And stay tuned. I don't have a Tittle Tuesday tea time this week, but I will next week. So what's today? Today is Tuesday, so the 28th, the end off the month. Keep an eye out for my August predictions and visions and forecasts, because there's a lot coming in August. Remember, friends, we're just coming out of that Mercury retrograde now, and that energy shift, which I think ended on the 15th, 17th, somewhere around there. Again, I've been unplugged because I've been traveling. So it used to be when we were in it, we got the most intense events and things that happen. But over the past few years, it's when we come out of it for some reason that we see the most intense, crazy events take place. That's why I tell you, there's something big coming. I think there's more than one big thing coming. And these big things that are coming are related to earth events and conflict. And even the food. I'm walking back out here closer to the creek to show the waterfall. It's not a waterfall, but it's cool. I usually swim out there. I don't know if I'd be swimming in here anytime soon. Especially being it's black. That's actually probably really good for you to swim in that water right there. That black soot from the fires probably pulls all the toxins out of your body. Work my way back up. I'm working my way back to you, babe. So, yeah, something big's coming, friends. So stay tuned. Big earthquakes. I think I talked about that at one point in this video. Again, this video is a compilation of a whole bunch of different places I visited, sharing the visions with you. I'll have to go back home and figure it all out. It's starting to rain a little bit more. We need the rain. Put out the fires. Oh, it's going to rain hard. Well, friends, let me leave you with that for now. I'm spiritual medium Joseph Tittel. You can visit me at my website, spiritmanjt.com. I do have master classes coming up in August, along with the past life regression class, messages from the other side gallery, which is probably sold out by now. That one. But keep an eye out. Look, oh, it's starting to really rain. Oh, I got to rush back. I don't want to get caught in the storm, y'all. So, friends, down in the description, you'll find all the links to all my social media. And until the next time, friends, remember. Oh, you know, when I was hiking out there in the woods, Sasquatch, Bigfoot saw me. But nobody believes the Sasquatch. I saw that on the shirt. Oh, I thought it was funny. Until the next time, friends, remember. Be bold, be true, be kind, be you. Let your light shine ever so brightly and have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste and much love, friends.